All right, joining me now is one of the people bringing the 14th Amendment lawsuit in Colorado, Noah Bookbinder, the president and the CEO of the nonprofit organization Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, also known as CREW. He's a former federal corruption prosecutor. Noah, it's good to see you. Thank you for being with us. I was trying to do justice to this conversation with that introduction that we just did, and I guess I see good faith discussions going on Twitter between people who would like to see the 14th Amendment used to keep Donald Trump off the ballot, who are arguing about whether or not the underlying offense of insurrection or giving aid and comfort to insurrectionists is proved or not, and whether it has to be proved or not. Some people say, yeah, there was an impeachment. Yeah, there was a January 6th commission. But these trials have not been heard yet. So tell me about that, first of all. What does the Constitution say or suggest as it results to proving Donald Trump actually violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment?
So it's important to note that if we look at the cases in which people have been disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that includes the Couey Griffin case last year that you talked about, as well as a number of cases from the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, there's not a single one in which one of those officials was charged with or convicted of insurrection. So the case law, in fact, in all of those cases is quite clear that you don't need criminal charges. You don't need a criminal conviction. This is a separate thing. In fact, we're not seeking criminal punishment in this lawsuit. What we're seeking is really to establish a qualification for office, just as if a 23-year-old ran for president, you could go and challenge them and say, the Constitution says you got to be 35. This person's not 35. They need to be disqualified. And because that's the kind of consequence we're seeking, it's a different standard of proof. It has to be proven by a preponderance of evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt as you would need in a criminal case. And we at CREW wrote a comprehensive report, and then we've since seen a comprehensive article from leading conservative scholars, Professors Bowd and Paulson. You mentioned the piece by Professor Tribe and Judge Ludig, all concluding that the evidence is overwhelming, way past that preponderance of the evidence standard, that Donald Trump meets the elements that we're going to need to show to establish that he engaged in insurrection for the purposes of.
This is an important takeaway. I'm not born in America, so I cannot constitutionally run for president. That's not a punishment. That's just a rule that's set up by the Constitution. I think that's an important point. The other big issue is standing, right? Donald Trump is now trying to move this case from Colorado state court to federal court. This is important because at the end of August, an Obama-appointed federal judge rejected a similar case that was brought in Florida against Donald Trump, ruling that the injuries the plaintiff tried to claim were not valid. And more importantly, quote, an individual citizen does not have standing to challenge whether another individual is qualified to hold public office, end quote. Can you shed some light on that for us?
So so first of all, some updates. Last night, we moved on behalf of our clients, these plaintiffs in Colorado, to remand the case back to state court in Colorado. It is my understanding, and things are moving quickly, but it's my understanding that Donald Trump's attorneys have actually conceded that this case does need to go back to Colorado State Court. And what's important here in distinct from that Florida case is that Colorado has state law that says that voters who would be voting for this candidate, so in this case, this would be for the Republican primary, so that would be Republican and unaffiliated Colorado voters, have the right to go to court and challenge to remove from the ballot somebody who's unqualified. So there's a specific law in Colorado that says you can do this, and says that these particular people, this particular kind of person can do it. That confers standing in Colorado. And that's what Professor Tribe was talking about. That's a different thing from somebody just going to federal court and just saying, I believe this person to be disqualified under the Constitution, so I want them removed. This is under a specific law that says you can do it in this particular way.
Noah, thanks as always for giving us clarity on this. This is a tough one for people to get their heads around, and I appreciate the analysis that you're providing. Noah Bookbinder is the president and the CEO for Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, CREW.